I am riding into Haywood County. I'm on I-40 headed toward Knoxville, Tennessee. It's one of the prettiest drives you'll take really in western North Carolina. It's really quite an engineering marvel that they were able to cross the mountains from western North Carolina into Tennessee. So I'm not really quite to the most dramatic parts of it yet. Maybe I'll try to get my GoPro fixed up where I can turn it upside down. I don't know. If I'm just shooting through the window with one GoPro, it's better to be able to turn, I think, left and right than to have to shoot in one direction the whole time. You really can't get a sense of what the mountains look like. So maybe I'll do that instead. I'll just hold my GoPro and go through the gaps up here. It's just kind of pretty farm country and all back out this way. But we are deep into the hills. So I've got my GoPro on a little stick here. Maybe you can see it. So what I'm going to go do today, I've often wanted to be a programmer, and I'm going to be learning about some Java programming. I'm probably going to become a Java programmer. Not probably, I'm most certainly going to become one. So I'm going to go meet with some guys that are going to kind of help me get started on that route. And made some connections with a gentleman from Knoxville who does Java programming, and he and some of his friends are going to get started. This right here shows kind of where we're headed. You know, going into Tennessee from North Carolina a long time ago was a very difficult thing because of the very high, kind of harsh Appalachian Mountains on this side of the state. We're on the westernmost portions of North Carolina right now. You see Maggie Valley exit here. But those mountains there are the Great Smoky Mountains. And they're pretty kind of daunting to get over. They're very rocky if you get out into the mountains. Particularly headed the pass we're getting ready to go through, it's rugged. You have to get up there in the woods to see, but there's a lot of granite rock just all up in that. And so this section of Interstate 40 that cuts through it is pretty impressive. They had to dig a good-sized tunnel up here to go through part of the mountain that there was just no way to go across. So eventually we're going to go through a pretty good-sized tunnel up here that gets us through the other side into Tennessee. But it is beautiful land out here. I wish I didn't have my GoPro shooting through a window. It's just beautiful rolling countryside. And then you bang right up into the mountains. Of course, we're up in the mountains, but you can see kind of how people live up here. Just beautiful hills and valleys. It's a little bit hard to farm up here. A lot of people still do. The ground's not bad, it's just rocky. And so most people, hard to say how they make their living these days. But most people are not farming. I know forest products have been, you know, a really big deal up in here over the years. Hope you're getting some sort of sense of what it's like. I'm kind of doing this for most of my friends who have not made this trip before. Maybe my friends that are, I don't know, farther out west or in other countries. So we're getting ready to kind of cut through some of the worst of it. The tunnel's up ahead here. But it's quite a dramatic drive through here if you're actually seeing it, not looking at it through the lens of a camera. It can only see a small portion of it. I'm at 55. I'm going about 59. I'm doing okay. Knoxville, 85 miles. Okay. Let's see if I can get over here to this other lane. Sun shines on the windows, it's hard to see out of them. The most visited, I think, what is it? I'm trying to say right. I think the most visited national park in America is the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, which goes into Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg. And I think it's probably most visited because it's closer to most of the bigger population centers than any of the other national parks. But it is quite beautiful, and it's worth going to see. It's kind of a fun place. It has a lot to offer as far as you know, just activities, shopping, food, natural beauty. It's hard to believe I'm going so much east right now because it's very early morning. But I'm on a section of it where you're going almost back to the east. You have to do some convoluted little turns, even though we're ultimately headed west. You can see the sun right over there. Pretty soon we'll be going due west though, like I say, right straight through the mountain. See a little bit of fog rising up there in the foreground. I'm not the most steady when I'm holding this thing in my hand, but hopefully it's enjoyable video. This separator wasn't here before, so you actually had a much better view of what's left and right. No trucks this lane, okay. Naughty truck. Be careful here as I go. Got a guy beside me here. I'm sure he's wondering why in the world is this guy shooting video on this crazy road. Probably scaring him. Kind of some deep little gaps we're going through, folks. I guess this wall separation here is pretty nice to keep us from running into each other, because as you go around some of the curves, you do feel like you could drift. Entering Pisgah National Forest, it says. Now, Pisgah National Forest stretches a long way, all the way up from where I live in the northern parts of the Appalachians, or where I'm not going to say where I live, where I used to live. It would be cool to find out exactly what defines Pisgah National Forest, because, like I say, it's just a massive national forest that encompasses a whole lot of western North Carolina, and I truly don't realize myself what all it is.